Next, on the Best of John Miller, Nancy Pearl is not a rock star or even a movie star, so why has she been made into an action figure? Shh, it's a secret, but John gets to the bottom of it. Look at this tractor that's going nowhere fast.
It's going to be an unusual sight.
Find out what this farm equipment is doing at the top of a pole. And can't we all get along? Meet a dog and a duck who are fast friends. And we'll visit a class at one Boise church that really will have your toes tapping.
Discover the lighter side of Northwest living as Idaho's News Channel 7 presents The Best of John Miller.
Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of The Best of John Miller. I'm Mark Johnson with Idaho's News Channel 7. All right, so who's your favorite superhero? Batman, Spider-Man, or Nancy Pearl? Yeah, this devoted librarian has reached superhuman status in the last couple of months, and as John Miller explains, the proof is in the plastic.
Librarian Nancy Pearl, a warrior of words.
My weapon of choice, the Dewey Decimal System.
Sort of like superheroes.
Librarians really do change people's lives through the good work that we do.
Just like Spider-Man.
Absolutely.
So it's really no wonder that at Archie McPhee, suppliers of everything from rubber rats to plastic penguins, there among all the other action figures, you'll find Nancy Pearl's trademark, permanently preserved in plastic.
She can actually shush.
She shushes.
With amazing push-button shushing action. A trading card, books, and bookmarks, says manager Shauna Iverson.
Well, apparently the story goes that the owner of our company was at his book club.
We were talking about the various action figures and how he selected who he did. And he, of course, he has a Moses and a Benjamin Franklin, Shakespeare, Einstein, Freud, a barista.
Some of the underappreciated figures throughout history.
And somebody said, you ought to do a librarian action figure. And then somebody else said, and Nancy doesn't take herself very seriously at all. She ought to be the model for that action figure.
And so she is. Curious callers clogging the phone lines, all invited to come on down and
check out our librarians.
We have sold approximately 600 so far at the store.
Thank you very much.
We've sold 2,500 at mail order. That's in 2 days.
2,500?
2,500.
Shiploads of shushers flying off the shelves.
At a shocking rate.
Yeah.
Oh, this is it.
Yeah.
Right.
Nancy an inspiration to all those lining up and swooshing her shushing right off the shelf.
Because I'm in library school and I want to be a librarian.
That's pretty sweet.
Pretty cool, isn't it? I'm not sure what I can aspire to next.
I don't know, but you are outselling Freud and Einstein.
Outselling Spider-Man.
And we don't want to be too insensitive here, but
She's outselling Jesus.
Oh, well, it's just a fad.
Maybe, but this fad has already knocked the boxing nun out of the spotlight. A bigger buzz than even the wind-up dancing lederhosen, whatever that is. And don't tell anyone, but
I am gratified, as much as one can be gratified about something that's plastic. I think librarians are superheroes.
Next up, show host superhero, and away! No, probably not. Thanks, John. Hey, you want to take a trip around the world, but you just don't have the time? Hey, John found a around-the-world trip where you don't have to get on a plane, you just have to visit a cornfield.
are you like the Christopher Columbus of the corn maze?
I think so.
Yeah.
We'll see where this takes us.
Because I'm relying on you.
though if you don't keep up with Diana Beeringer,
We'll leave you in Africa.
I have to send out the authorities.
This is a connection from the Western Hemisphere to the Eastern Hemisphere.
It just looks like a cornfield to me.
John, you just don't have an imagination.
I do have an aerial shot, though.
You do, right.
Oh, man. That is sweet. So we are between the hemispheres.
Yes.
Like where the circle meets the circle.
Yes.
See, if we get lost in this thing, at least I have this giant tripod.
Yes.
I have no idea what that's good for.
Yes.
It's not just any corn maze,
No.
because there are a lot of corn mazes. I
Yeah.
mean, we have shots of, all kinds of corn mazes that have been cut.
actually how they built this world in one summer is sort of a secret, and cutting through the corn from one country to another is highly forbidden.
Yeah, illegal border crossing.
Luckily, they give you a map. Hopefully, you'll know how to use it.
Oh.
Not only on your quest for the end, but your quest for the answers to 14 wonders of the world hidden in 5 miles of paths.
And they tell me it's a little difficult over in the Western Hemisphere.
Right. That's where you've lost a few people, I understand.
Mm-hmm.
How many?
Out in the Pacific Ocean, about 3 so far.
The lucky ones find their way to the Australian coast, where they learn about the Abbott's booby bird and where the Southern Ocean is.
The Southern Ocean.
Or that it even existed.
We have a new ocean?
Yes.
I didn't know that.
Well, we figured if you're going to be here, you might as well learn something.
Because you can come in here knowing nothing and leave with a corn world of knowledge.
Yes.
Sweet.
Da, 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 da.
That will only cost you a few bucks and about 2.5 hours.
So it's good fun, a little scary, but we made it.
We made it.
If you build it, John will come. Now, here's the secret. They actually never cut the corn maze. Instead, they plant early in the year in the shape of those 2 hemispheres. Well, we have seen all kinds of beautiful sculptures carved from big hunks of clay. But back in 1993, John met up with a Treasure Valley man, artist, thinking smaller. Take a look at his clay creations.
I started about 15 years ago making things with clay, but I've kind of really went kind of crazy. It's really rewarding to get something done and people look at it and can't believe that it was sculpted by your hands, that it wasn't just mass-produced on a line or something.
Look at Steve Hodges' tools and you might call him a builder. Look at what he builds and you'll call him an artist.
Ears are very difficult to make this small. I use, a lot of the tools I use are maybe toothpicks to needles.
Beginning with nails and tinfoil, Hodges welds a skeleton. He adds clay to create anything from Ninja Turtles to cars and birds. Everything that flies. Some of his ideas come straight from the Idaho wild.
Like little black-headed chickadees and that. I see those around and I've made a set like that with the mother and the little babies, and that turned out really nice.
Hodges says detail is critical, from Michael Jordan's regulation basketball to Deion Sanders' jewelry, but it doesn't always go so smoothly.
I made the Deion Sanders that I got him made, and he was so large that his glove set on the coil in the oven and burnt.
Hodges says he often builds what others suggest, but he'll never have time to do it all.
I don't just sit down and do it all at once. It's time-consuming and it gets kind of stressful as you're working on it. You get too intent on it.
What will he build next? Possibly a life-size eagle in flight. After all, Steve Hodges knows his only limit is his imagination.
You could call it high art, and then again, maybe not. So what's this tractor doing dangling in the air? John Miller will show us. And up next, meet Warren Hallinger.
I was working as a stockbroker at 24 years old 10 years ago.
He quit his day job, set off on the adventure of a lifetime, and has the pictures to prove it. Welcome back to the Best of John Miller. How many times have you thought, all right, I'm going to do it. I'm going to quit my job. I'm going to do some traveling, watch some sports, watch the Best of John Miller every time it runs on 24/7, and generally live the good life. Of course, the need for money always seems to get in the way. But not for one guy who passed through Boise a few years back who believes the only way to get your feet firmly on the ground is to climb to the top of the world. John shares his story.
My name is Warren Hollinger. I was working as a stockbroker at 24 years old 10 years ago in Los Angeles, and I was thinking there's got to be more to life. I took a course in climbing one weekend. I got so smitten by the sports. 6 months later, I quit my job. I moved into my van that I just bought, and it's the same van sitting outside the store right now.
He traded his wingtips for trail shoes, a coat and tie for a flannel shirt, bought himself a couple of slide projectors, and then Warren Hollinger turned out the lights on his day job.
For the most part, I've been climbing ever since.
tackling the peaks of Pakistan and the rock walls of the world with tens of thousands of dollars worth of climbing gear and a camera.
If my dad had his way, I'd still be banking dollars in the bank.
Stockbrokers tend to make more money than a guy who climbs mountains and takes pictures, all paid for with the dollars he makes from the subsequent slideshows.
What I do is I bank experience now rather than dollars in my account, and use big wall climbing as my own form of self-discovery. You can't forget anything, right down to your toothbrush.
For the career you left behind, to travel around the world, strap yourself to a rock wall, and hopefully find true freedom, Warren Hollinger has always reached the summit and the conclusion.
Yeah, it was worth it.
Still to come, it's not quite the fox and the hound, but the duck and the chow could be one of the oddest couples you'll ever see. And next, it's a traffic stopper. We'll show you where you can find this tractor that's just hanging around. The Best of John Miller is back after this. All right, contemplate this question. Do you have a lifelong dream? Mike Anderson does, and his is likely to turn heads upside down. You could call it an obscure addition to one Nampa storefront. John shows us.
Mike Anderson can fix any tractor, and that's probably why they call him
Mike Tractor Anderson.
Though he wasn't fixing this one, he was fixing to send it to its final resting place.
It died.
Like most of your stock here.
Parts and pieces, and old tractor's done. Running like a deer.
Yeah, all of my stock is dead.
And in need of a giant green grave marker.
Well, it looks like it'll be quite an operation.
That's why Elmer Thomas, the floppy hat kid, the newspaper, and half the Nampa metropolitan area showed up to watch a crane hoist this giant John Deere.
It's going to be an unusual sight.
They're perched on a big pole, and best of all,
It's upside down.
You're right. That's what makes it interesting, I guess.
That's why we're here.
You betcha, that's right.
Well, this has been the idea for a long time.
a lifelong dream for Mike, actually.
Got it on my business cards.
Well, look at that.
See, there it is.
A tractor upside down on a pole, from dream to reality, now a symbol of every farm implement dead and rotting at Nampa Tractor Salvage.
Yeah, it's a 6,000-pound tombstone.
It definitely ain't going anywhere now.
No,
huh?
sir.
That's up now.
It's been a long time coming.
The kids were just speechless over this.
Yeah, those two little boys are usually speechless.
And who wouldn't be, staring at Mike Tractor Anderson's contribution to the Canyon County skyline?
Yep, we've got a landmark now.
Yeah, you can see the, there we go. You can see the giant upside down tractor at the corner of North Side and Highway 2026 in Canyon County. Next on the Best of John Miller, proof that even classics can improve. It's a trip down memory lane as some members of a Boise church learn a few dance steps. And Chewy the Chow has no future as a hunting dog, but he could quickly become a friend to ducks in the Treasure Valley. All right, you know, John Miller has this rap. He's often stereotyped as the guy who does all the dog and duck stories. Today, he's doing nothing different to break the mold. In fact, you might call this story a 2-for-1 special, thanks to a twist of nature in West Boise.
He's been waiting all morning.
Truth be told, Chewy the Chow couldn't care less about walking. It's Sonny Gorange's duck that won't be denied.
Come along, honey.
So it's really your fault, huh? You rescued him, huh?
Yeah.
What was the scoop on that?
I don't know. I was driving. I just saw him out in the street and didn't find a mom or anything, so we just brought him home.
By now, it's not really a question of how you got the duck. It's more how do you get rid of him.
Right. We've tried. We tried taking him to the creek, everything. He just doesn't know he's a duck.
Which is probably why he's so attached to Chewy the Chow.
He's a member of the family.
Yep.
What do you call him?
Dog.
Dog. Sure, why not? Hey, dog.
Now, when Dog goes walking, the kids come running, especially Sonny's niece, Shay.
How many years old are you, Shay?
Not old enough to know. Dog's lips weren't made for kissing. So, Sonny, exactly what am I holding in my hand here?
Dog food.
Ow! Dog's eating so much of it, he can't get his ducky derriere off the ground. He can't fly.
No. He tries.
Have you taught him how to sit?
No, not yet. We're working on that one.
And I imagine that if you leave him alone for too long, he starts barking.
Yes, he does.
Okay, so I took a little creative license there. Doesn't really quite bark.
He doesn't quite bark, but he
Sure makes a stink if you leave him alone.
Yeah. You want to go back to your dog, don't you?
His little webbed feet flapping all the way. And Sonny supposes he'll be around until he learns to be a duck or learns to be on a diet. For now, looks like you're stuck with him.
Yep.
Two things need to be said about this story. Chewy the dog, not flying south for the winter. And Dog the duck, the perfect house pet, except they cannot train it to go on the papers. Proving once again, you can't teach an old duck new tricks. Sorry. Still ahead, new lessons to the sound of old music. We take you to a dance class that just might move you when we see more of the best of John Miller. All right, here it is. I've got it for you. More proof that you're never too old, you're never too busy, and it is never, I mean never, too late to learn to dance. All right, there is an exception. Just ask some of the people who know. They'll never be famous for their talents, but as John shows us, this group couldn't be richer.
Every Monday night in the basement of the First Methodist Church, just beyond the Boy Scout meeting, you'll find Betty Jo Fisher and the folks in Dory Stansberry's tap class warming up for another number.
Yeah, Monday Night Madness. So shall we slaughter one? How about something stupid?
Oh, yeah.
Old dance favorites as faded as the labels they wear.
I'm the trusty old Victrola type record player.
Oh, yes. After all, we're none of us spring chickens.
And besides, the new phonograph is broken.
Now, why do you keep dancing?
Well, I have rhythm in my feet.
And a song in her soul. In case you haven't guessed, Betty Jo's kind of a favorite here.
Well, thank you.
You almost took me out there while I was walking around.
Well, teacher said don't miss a step. So.
And when you're as old as Betty Jo,
39 and holding.
Okay.
It's okay to spend more time laughing than learning.
You should see me when I'm really funny.
So Dory loads up another one.
Are we ready? Are we ready?
And for a crowd of nobody, Betty Jo and the gang nearly laughed themselves to tears and danced some life into the hits of days gone by.
You better believe it. We don't know what we're doing.
But like Betty Jo says,
if you have music in your soul, well, it's bound to come out your souls, your feet.
We're going to start calling her Broadway Betty Jo. I just came back from New York, Betty, and I think you could play there. That's going to do it for now. We'll see you again next week as we look at more of the best of our own John Miller.
Cue up the banjo music.
Idaho!
How's it going?
She is cheating.
Oh, man.
Revenge is sweet.
I'd say the odds of that happening with me are pretty much zero. Okay, 1% chance.
Oh, jeez.
You gotta be a little bit brave about it, man.
What does your wife think about this thing?
I think she likes it.
Walking on the moon is easier, I'll tell you that.
They're killing me.
You get to be like the Eddie Van Halen of pumpkin cannons, huh?
Did you ever think maybe I should have made my chest set a little bit lighter?
No, I didn't.